The season 2 finale of Paradise didn't give us all the answers, but it gave us more clues because this wasn't just an ending, it was a setup. How can Dylan possibly be Sinatra's son? Is Project Alex predicting timelines or creating them? And what makes Xavier so important that everything seems to revolve around him going forward? So today I'm breaking down 5 clues you probably missed in season 2, episode 8, and how they might unlock the true direction of season 3. I'll also be discussing the burning unanswered questions I have after watching this finale. But before we get started, let me introduce myself if you're new here. And if you're not new here, then welcome back. My name is Brandy, and I realize that you could be on any channel in the world, but you're right here with me, and I really do appreciate that. So please go ahead and like this video. It really does help the channel out, and I greatly appreciate it. And also subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy watching TV show reviews and also movie reviews. So I'm not gonna lie, this finale completely scrambled my brain. I feel like I have more questions now than I did at the beginning of the season. And to be very clear with you all, I have 57 unanswered questions. I wrote down 14 plot holes, and I also have 12 clues just from this episode alone. And I am convinced that the writers do not want us to really figure out what's going on Paradise Season 2. So I'm already thinking ahead to Paradise Season 3 and try to come up with my own theories for then. Now, the first clue I want to discuss with you is Alex and her Huntington's disease. Alex meaning the wife of Henry Miller, the actual human Alex, okay?
Huntington's disease, it's a neurological disorder. I know what it is. Then you know what it does.
The writers made it a point in this episode to remind us that she has Huntington's disease. So I mentioned this previously, and this episode solidified it for me. I think that Alex is still alive. We saw earlier in this season that Henry Miller, her husband, allegedly euthanized her, but I think that woman is still alive. And hear me out. I mentioned this before actually too. We see what could possibly be Alex already in the bunker. And by the way, there's no reason that the human Alex should be in the bunker because Henry allegedly euthanized her before the bunker even existed. On season 1, Xavier is at the diner with Gabriella, and Gabriella is asking him like, hey, what are you looking around at? You're so intense, you're focused on something. And he looks over at Alex, who's at the same diner, or who I at least think is Alex. And Xavier says, in a different time, in a different place, I would consider that lady a threat. And Gabriella says, why? And he says,
the knife. She can use either hand.
So this version of Alex at the diner has great fine motor skills. In fact, she's ambidextrous, as Xavier noted. But the Alex that we see in this season finale, she can't even sip water through a straw on her own. So did Link and Henry Miller toy around with Project Alex to heal his wife? Or did they put the wife into another timeline? One of the first symptoms that pop up when you Google Huntington's disease is the inability to eat with utensils. So I definitely think it's a connection there and that the writers are trying to tell us something. And also this disease, it causes memory loss, personality shifts, cognitive fragmentation. And that mirrors exactly what we've been seeing in Paradise. Characters remembering things that didn't happen, overlapping experiences, and possible timeline bleed-throughs. So Alex's condition could be a prototype for what happens when timelines collide inside a human brain. So I say all this to say, in season 3, I am theorizing that the human Alex will play a bigger role. And actually, she probably is playing a bigger role right now behind the scenes. And to add to that, I just want to say I was very disappointed with the reveal of Project Alex. So I would love to see the writers just add the human touch of Project Alex not really being able to function fully without the human Alex. And the second clue is the one we really need to focus on, the activation card that Sinatra gave to Xavier at the end of this episode. Now, I am so grateful that I have so many smart individuals in the comments below, because this is huge right here, this activation card, because the numbers on this card are going to play a large role. Think about season 1 and those 6 digits that we kept seeing Xavier look at on the cigarette, the digits that Cal wrote down. now, that was such a huge clue that we didn't find out until the end of season 1. So I really want to crack the case on this activation card. Now, here's where it gets wild. The first numbers on this card, I looked this up, and so did people on Reddit as well. And this is a geographic center of the state of Colorado. It's not Denver. It's not a specific bunker. So it looks like it's just the dead center of the entire state. In fact, when I looked on Google Maps, it says something like Photoshop. So I don't know. It's just a random coordinate, but it does belong to Colorado. Now, the second set of coordinates actually belong to the Denver International Airport, and I'll do a deeper dive on that shortly. Now, the 3 numbers under the Denver Airport, I have no idea what these mean. Maybe they're just timeline number references, something that Xavier has to figure out in order to jump to different timelines to change outcomes. Not sure, but I know that all of these numbers are important. And also just the Mobius strip here in the way it points to the different data points. I know that has some significance as well. There's some other numbers on the card as well. I could barely see, but one says 2123. So I'm like, is Project Alex in the year 2123? Now, a quick clarifying question I have. Now, Sinatra told Xavier that there's a second bunker 100 miles away. And we also saw her on a previous episode. She's in the underground trolley and she goes to see Project Alex in a separate building. It didn't seem like she went a whole 100 miles away. So my question is the second bunker she's referring to, is that the same bunker that we saw her at where Project Alex was revealed? I'm thinking that it is, but also I have a theory that there are multiple Alexes running awry, but more on that later. But all in all, Xavier cannot catch a break. Can he just chill and enjoy his family? No, he has to go on a quest to figure out what all of these numbers mean. But I do think that Xavier's experience of being a pilot will help him figure out these numbers. Now, the third clue that I think the writers want us to pay close attention to is Lucifer. Lucifer is the blue horse statue at the Denver International Airport. Now, most of us already heard about the theories that the Denver International Airport has underground bunkers only for the elite, that they have ties to a New World Order secret society, that they house these apocalyptic murals and other weird things about this specific airport. But a lot of us don't know the history behind Lucifer. At least I didn't know. I had to look this up. And this is a wild story. While the sculptor who created Lucifer was working on the project, a large section of the fiberglass artwork fell on him in his studio. It severed an artery and it caused his death. So Lucifer killed his creator. And we learned on this episode that Dylan created Project Alex. And we know that Dylan is on a mission to kill Project Alex. But are the writers trying to tell us by showing us this sculpture that Project Alex will turn the tables and kill Link? Or is the Lucifer reference symbolic of Sinatra's death, being that she's the one that created the bunker and now she died in the bunker? But more on that later. My bet is that it's on Link. I do not know if we're going to see Link make it through the end of season 2. I really hope we do, because I want to see him reunite with Annie somehow, some way, and I want to see them have a nice, happy family. But after watching this episode, I just had the feeling that Link is a pawn. So I do think that this reference was more so for Link than it was for Sinatra. And clue number 4 leads me to another theory that I have. You guys might have the same theory as well, but I do not think that Sinatra is dead, and I think that we will see her again in season 3. And here's why. When Sinatra was on that elevator with Xavier, she mentioned to him that she thinks that she saw her dead son Dylan today, and she thinks that she finally started processing her grief in a hallucinogenic state. She goes on to say that certainly there are plenty of Dylans born on May 16th, but she really thinks that that is her son. And the clue here for me was the word hallucinogenic, because at the end of the episode, we see Sinatra's death, and it seems very beautiful, very symbolic. We see that she seems happy, joyous even. We see that she locks hands with her late son Dylan. She's peaceful with going down with the ship. Mind you, she touched Link's face. She told him that she is his mother. She is overcome with joy, and like she said, she's just beginning to process her grief. And it might not have been symbolic. It might have just been Sinatra hallucinating, and what I think could have possibly happened. And this is a wild theory, not grounded at all. But for some reason, I think Jane somehow sacrificed herself for Sinatra. Remember, Jane told Sinatra previously that you're no good to me dead. And we see in this episode, we see see Jane's dead body the first time in the shower, allegedly her dead body, that is. And then when they show the shower again towards the end of the episode, Jane is gone. I think that somehow, some way, Sinatra and Jane connected off screen. Obviously, we didn't see it, but I think somehow, some way, Jane used her Wii or her Nintendo Switch to do something in that control room where Sinatra did not have to sacrifice herself and go down with the ship, and that they both got out safely. And listen, again, I know that is a crazy theory, but overall, I just think Sinatra is alive. Even if Jane isn't the one that ultimately saved Sinatra, I still think that we're going to see a lot of Sinatra in season 3, and not just through flashbacks. And clue number 5 is confusing as hell if you didn't watch my past videos. But when we heard Sinatra having a conversation with Henry Miller, and he told her, like, listen, we have to be done with this project. Alex is doing dangerous things. Alex is figuring out difficult computations before we even ask the question. That right there reminded me of the Jeopardy reference that we got just a few episodes. And again, I talked about this on a previous video, but there was a match back in 2011 where previous Jeopardy winners went up against an IBM supercomputer called Watson. And Watson was very fast to the draw. Watson was oftentimes just a lot quicker at hitting the buzzer, and he also was getting the questions right. And I believe he ended up winning something close to $1 million on Jeopardy. So what's telling about this clue between Watson and Project Alex is what IBM did with Watson after that Jeopardy match was cancer research, drug discovery, and patient outcomes. They went directly into the healthcare field. And I cannot take credit for this theory, but somebody in my comments, I cannot remember who, I cannot find a comment even, and it might have been 1 or 2 people actually, but you guys made the connection between Project Alex and health. This commenter went on to explain so eloquently. Again, you guys are so smart in the comments. I love all of you. But this commenter went on to explain that there's a theme on Paradise with sick people. They mentioned that Annie was sick. She had preeclampsia. They mentioned that Xavier's dad was sick. Alex obviously has Huntington's disease, and it was somebody else. Oh, obviously Dylan. Dylan has a sickness that he passed away from, an unknown sickness that is. So health is not a backdrop here, it's a pattern. And we all saw that Link built Project Alex, the baby Project Alex that is, before he actually went into business with Henry Miller. But what if when Henry Miller was initially talking about Project Alex, that he was more so thinking of Project Alex to solve the very diseases that was destroying somebody that he loved with Huntington's disease, his wife. And somewhere along the way, it got repurposed into something else. A machine built to save lives, potentially being used to end them. That's what the scientist is scared of. And listen, I don't blame Henry Miller at all. Get rid of Alex. I agree with him. Kill the project right now. But something about that tie-in that the commenter made between Project Alex and saving people that are unhealthy really struck a chord with me. And I'm not explaining it as well as the commenter did, but something about that even makes me think why X was chosen to be the one to activate this Alex, that is, right? Because we know that X, his dad had Parkinson's disease. So I'm wondering if X is going to be faced with some very difficult decisions. Like, is he going to be able to see his father again in a different timeline or what have you? But it's something about that IBM Watson and Project Alex answering questions before they even asked that really connected the dots for me. And now we're moving on to my unanswered questions. Why didn't Sinatra tell Xavier the mission that he's actually on? We as the audience know from the scientist, I think his name is Dr. Louch, that the second wave of the end of the world is coming. So that's what Sinatra is telling Xavier in a very cryptic way, that he needs to save the world. But why wasn't she clear about that? Like, Xavier, you know, you guys think you're all good because you're outside of the bunker and it's livable right now, but there's going to be a second wave coming and you need to save the world. I'm curious if that's what Xavier's actual objective is. Is that really the reason why Project Alex requested User X? And also, Sinatra has been in this bunker X amount of years with Project Alex. Why hasn't she solved that problem already? Next question, how many Project Alexes are there actually? Because we see numbers on Project Alex. I think the numbers are AL3X.02. And that seems to me like that's version number 2. So is the one that Link created with Henry Miller, is that the first Project Alex? And I realized that there could be different versions of Project Alex and different bunkers and different timelines. Because you guys know I've always been about the whole time travel theory and that there's different timelines going on here. But I was really curious, it actually confused about how many Project Alexes are we actually witnessing. And what also confused me was when Dr. Chase told Sinatra, like, hey, you know, we haven't even activated Alex yet. And I'm like, what? Alex hasn't been activated yet? I feel like we see a lot of ripple effects of Project Alex already. So how is Alex not activated yet? Is Link actually Sinatra's real son? I am still not fully convinced just yet. I am really on the fence. When Sinatra told Link that she's his mother, he didn't really seem to reject that statement or say, oh no, my mom is Barbara Johnson or whatever his real mom's name could be. He even let Sinatra like touch his face in a loving way. So I'm like, wait, what is going on here? Is that her real son or what? And it's just mind-boggling to me because we see that Link, aka Dylan, is the one that actually created Project Alex. So how was he able to go back in time and save himself from dying as a younger version of himself? It is so confusing. And if user X really is Xavier, why is Xavier so important that he's chosen to be the one to go ahead and activate Project Alex? Why Xavier? Now, my first thought goes back to season 1 where Gabrielle mentioned that Xavier is the wild card. Remember, Gabrielle is the one that chose everybody who got to live in the bunker. So I'm just wondering, like, why Xavier? And we also saw that Sinatra mentioned on this episode that Xavier is essentially the only good one left. Like, he's the only good one in the bunker. So I'm just wondering, why did Project Alex choose Xavier? Or is it a mistake? Could user X be somebody else? I guess we'll have to wait and see. And last question / prediction for season 3. Do you all think that Carmen, Sinatra's maid, is going to play a bigger role in season 3? Could she possibly be part of the secret society? Because we know that when Sinatra was down for the count, when Jane shot her, she was down for a month. Carmen was the one checking up on Alex. So I'm wondering what role Carmen plays in all of this because we haven't seen her that much. I'm also curious about Sinatra's husband. I really don't like his character just now. Like, he never takes any action whatsoever, but for some reason I get the feeling that he's going to play a larger role as well. But please tell me down below, what do you think? What role could Carmen and Sinatra's husband play in season 3? And lastly, let me tell you my thoughts on the finale overall. At first watch, I did not love this finale. I am like, what did I just watch? I am so confused. But after I went back and watched it a second time, I really developed a love for the finale. But overall, it was just too much action for me. I think we really could have did without the elevator scenes, right? Like, they spent so much time where Xavier's trying to save the girls from the elevator, and I just felt like that was all fluff and filler for me, unless it'll have some significance somehow, some way in season 3. But I really didn't enjoy that part. And just all of the chaos with everybody running out of the bunker, it really didn't carry enough emotional weight for me. And guys, if you made it this far in the video, please drop me down a green heart below and let me know your theories. Let me know what clues you saw that I missed. Again, I saw many other clues, but for brevity, we'll just keep it at 5. And I have a lot of more questions as well. But again, I like to keep my videos short and concise. But I really want to say thank you all too. I really love the community that we're building over here on this channel. You guys actually in the comments help me understand the show a lot more than I would if I would have watched it alone. I love talking to each and every one of you. I really strive to respond to every comment that I see, but just know that I love you all. I appreciate every comment and all of your thoughts and theories. And I'll see you all hopefully for my From reviews, that is. If you do not watch From, if you like Paradise, I think you would like From. Let me just start right there, okay? From, it comes across like it's scary, but it's not so scary. I did not watch this show at first because I hated the thumbnail. I'm like, this is not my vibe. I don't want to watch this show, but let me tell you, From is so good. It's so deep. It's very similar to Paradise in a lot of ways. So try to catch up on From. Let's watch that together. Let's unpack the clues and theories over there. And I will see you all next time. You guys stay safe out there. I love you all. Until then, peace.